There is, of course, still a focus on other manufacturers back here at home. And on the heels of this week's manufacturing rebound, the latest ADP report is adding to strong economic sentiment. Private payrolls rose by 291,000 jobs last month, largely beating median consensus expectations of 150,000. That would mark the best monthly gain in nearly 5 years. December's headline private payroll figure was downwardly revised to a gain of 199,000 versus the previous 202,000 reported, guys. But again, I mean, the strongest number, 5 years. I mean, that would be a turning point here, I think, Nan.
And small and medium-sized businesses, as you know, were actually the biggest chunk of the gains, which is terrific news for the broad-based economy. And the signing of the USMCA, the Phase 1 deal with China, signals to the whole world that American manufacturing essentially is poised to grow. So, this is great news. I don't know how else you consider it.
I wonder.
More to come.
It was great to see construction jobs, manufacturing jobs go up.
Yeah.
That's a big number. I just want to repeat it. 291,000 jobs added, nearly double the estimate.
It's amazing.
And what this does point out, though, is that there are still plenty of Americans, although we keep celebrating that record low unemployment rate, 50-year low, there are still plenty of Americans who want to get into this job market and are able to take advantage of this. So it's great. USMCA, Phase 1 trade deal, corporations are feeling confident about hiring, and more Americans are benefiting from that.
We've got a greater emphasis on education, too. There have been initiatives by this administration to help people with jobs and skills education to bring those workers back in Sibile, including the disabled, veterans, and every demographic group.
Well, what would be interesting, too, is if this data that we get, of course, is the ADP report, private payrolls, if it plays out in the jobs data we'll get on Friday. Yeah. That's always the question, is how much is this correlated with the jobs report we're going to get there?
But it's a good sign.
Yeah, clearly most of the time it does move in
Friday.
the same direction, but it'll be how strong it becomes because, again, the trend had been weakening job gains as of late. When you kind of piece all these together, of course, the Fed watches this closely. They don't like going off of just one report by itself. They look at the averages over a few reports, and the trend, as you can see there, had been slower and slower, although still adding jobs. But this, based on how strong a report we're getting today, would seem to indicate that Friday is going to be what the president had hinted at, I think, in his tweet when he's saying jobs, jobs, jobs ahead of the State of the Union. And we're going to dig into that later.
Another feather in his hat.
But you would think that this would bode well for Friday.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So. I can't wait to see what the jobs report number is going to be.
Policy matters. And I think that's one of the key messages as we go through 2020. Personages have an effect, obviously, personalities, but policy matters.
And numbers at the end of the day, too.
Yeah, right. Well, exactly. But when you have policies that encourage capital inflow into markets, into enterprise, when you have trade policies that advantage the U.S., good things can happen.
Well, and as we'll get into later on with Trump's State of the Union, I think deregulation, a big piece of that as well, as we heard from him.
Yes.
So we'll get into that.
And tax cuts. Well, that's it. Capital going into the markets, going into enterprise, fewer barriers, and more capacity. Fantastic.
And I'm sure when we get the official number on Friday, I'm sure we'll hear about it yet again, and we'll see what the market rally, if it can continue. Hey, investors, Zack Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.